man, I watched, and I can't even explain on the podcast because you have to see it to believe it, but just watched you unravel people's negative spiral thinking. Just literally kept pulling the string until that string was gone. And it changed the way they looked at whatever the given event was that they had been wrapped around the axle with so long. It was crazy. Just changing the way they perceive that. They're just words in their head.
What's interesting about the Roger is this is what most people do. Most people answer the question that people ask them. And I always know that if you have a question and you don't have the appropriate answer for that question, it's the wrong question. So someone's like, well, why am I this way? Well, that is actually like a dumb question, because why you're that way is because this, and this, and we're going to make you feel worse giving you the answer. And so most people are like, well, why am I depressed? Or why am I overweight? Or why is business so hard? Or why can't I find good people? The second you ask a why question, you are like literally sending yourself into a place that's going to be, let's forget about negative and positive. It's not useful. We're going to dig up all of what you're doing wrong, what your mistakes are, what the challenges are, what's happening, blah, blah, blah. Versus instead of saying like, why am I depressed? What can I now do to be happier? And the second you switch that question, so what you saw me do is the refusal to answer the question that is useless. And because if they already had an appropriate answer, that question already would have worked. Yep. So that's how the mind works. Always asking questions. When you change the question it asks, you get a different answer, and a different answer is a different picture, sounds, and feelings in the mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved watching you too and for the listeners, Michael has a really keen sense of humor and brings it into his events. But what you weren't joking though, is when you would ask a tough question and somebody would say, I'm sorry, excuse me. And you said, no, you heard me, but you don't like the question. And that happens. And now I'm becoming acutely aware of that happening around me. And it's crazy how just the brain almost defaults and goes, no, short circuit, have them ask it again when they heard it.
Because we all play a role in life. And this is like the movies, like we play a role of what we do. Like imagine somebody played the role of, they walk into a seminar, they walk into an event. I'm going to play the role of a guy who's really good at getting material and using it quickly is very different than I'm going to play the role of hopes he gets it. I'm going to play the role of an entrepreneur who makes life easy in business. And it's not, you can't lie to yourself and you can't say, oh, life's going to be perfect and easy and everything's great. But a lot of us, we take on roles. So if I take the role on and I go all in on like, here's what I believe, and this is the way it is. You see it around, I'm not going to get into it, but you see it around election time. You see it around every like sporting events, which team is going to win the Super Bowl. People really, really get in on that. That's why they get so emotional about stuff, right? And what's interesting about it is if somebody's so all in on a belief system, they will actually manufacture a way to not hear certain things because it's based on their belief system. So when I say that, I am challenging. Now, there are a few people that maybe didn't hear me, they got distracted, but I truly believe they choose to get distracted.
Yeah.
So they cannot hear me so they can keep up their current reality.
Yep. And which is a comfort zone. It's not,
which protects their current identity, which they think is a good idea. So like, I'll give you an example. Like you have an amazing business. I mean, I've met some incredible people through your world, and I've met some incredible business owners now. If you believe that your corporate job is the greatest thing in the world, and you have told your mother, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt, you're getting praise your entire life that you're in corporate America, you're in Silicon Valley, and you're miserable, but you're playing a part for all these other people, to go up to them and go, you know what I decided to do? I'm going to go into fitness, right? They think you're nuts. You think you're nuts. So we will actually avoid the things we want to keep either people happy or keep a story that's 25 years old alive. Our parents could have passed on, the ones that got us to be a doctor and a lawyer. They could be gone. And we're still being a doctor and a lawyer because we want to keep mommy and daddy happy, and our parents could be gone for 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Amen. All right. So at this event, it may quite easily be the first time that someone else has put me in a peak state. Like I know I've gotten into flow and into a peak state, in music, in business, and just different things in my life where it just comes together and I'm in flow. I've never been able to do that on demand, and you teach that in your core workshop. What exactly is going on in a person's body when you teach them to get into peak state?
Okay, so all of us have different state of mind. For those of you who don't know what state is, it's not like New Jersey, New York, Connecticut. That's not state. So state is like a state of mindset, or let's just call it a mindset and a physical movement in the body. So it's like
Okay.
there's a place we get, like, I have learned that when you're not thinking, you can be in a much better state of mind. Like when I played ice hockey and I'd have a sinus infection as a kid and 104 fever, I would actually play better because I couldn't think. And I'm sure you played music with a
Sure.
sick and you were like amazing, sweating, blah, blah, blah. So what it is we have an option at any given moment of the day to be in whatever state of mind we want to be in if we're aware of doing it. So what we teach is it's a 3-part principle. I'm going to give you like the boring explanation first, is that whenever we have an overload of emotions, 3 emotions at once. At that event, we used pride, we used courage, and we used humor. So we used 3 emotions at once. And you have a physical reaction in the body, like we call it an anchor. Like we do this thing, anchor. You make you create an anchor in the body. You make a sound. It could be music. This stuff happens at a Metallica concert. Do you know what I'm saying? You come in and they start drumming and they say certain words, and you bring back your memory, and nostalgia comes back, and we all go back to one, right? We all go back to like a song from 1992.
Yep.
So what it does is it's coming up with a series of emotions that override the circuitry of the body that actually reset you to a peak state or a flow state. The key is adding language to it. We say the word yes, or you could say the word I am, and instantly you go back there. So Starbucks does this with their stores. They made it so when you walk in, you get into their peak state, which is don't worry about the price of coffee, smell it, feel at home, connect with people, and feel comfortable and blah, blah, blah. They created that peak state there with smell, with aroma, with the sound of the machines, with the people, with the setup. So you have the ability to create it in yourself. So the best way I can explain it is if you're able to recall memories that you've had prior, 3 of them simultaneously, and add a feeling to it, physical feeling in the body instantly gets you to go, and you're in a peak state. And then from there, you can write that book, you can write a great email, you can have a tough conversation, you can go out there and play. I teach it to people to do regularly. So that's the quick version.